My name is Nekpe Obasogie. Today's program is about the Great Benin Kingdom. For those who requested for the history of the Ogiamien family, I'm going to play a video of Imasuen Izodua. He did a great analysis of the controversy between the Ogiamien family and the Oba of Benin. He also defined the word Oba and did a brief analysis of the Ogisos who ruled the Benin Kingdom during the First Dynasty. Very, very educative. According to history, the Ogiamien family does not belong to the blue blood. When we say the blue blood, we are referring to the royal bloodline, the Oba family. It was towards the end of the First Dynasty that the monarch was experiencing some intricacies, and the palace was left in vacuum during that period. That is what led the Benin people to appoint a regent. They call them Idai. So the person that was appointed as a regent happens to come from the Ogiamien family. So when Ogiamien came to Benin, because the father sent him from Ile-Ife to come and rule Benin, Ogiamien. In Benin, Obioba, the Benin people are operating the primogeniture system of monarch, whereby the heir apparent to the throne is the first male child of a sitting Oba. So when Ogiamien came to Benin, the Benin people wanted to maintain the royal bloodline. So the person who was appointed as a regent, that is the Ogiamien, was supposed to step down. So Oba Ewedo created that name, Ogiamien, as a chieftaincy title in the palace. It's a kind of a compensation to the family. He created the name Ogiamien as a title. Okay, the same thing happened during the time of Oba Ogiamien when he was sent to exile in Calabar by the British people. The British people, they appointed a regent, Obaseki Awo, to come and rule in his place while he was in exile. What happened when Oba Ogiamien joined his ancestors in 1914? His first son, that is Oba Eweka II, ascended the throne. It's just simple. It's like the Obaseki family trying to claim the blue blood. It doesn't work that way. Okay? I'm going to play the video of Imasuen Izodua. He did a great analysis of this history. Just listen to him.
Greetings to all Benin, all Edo people all over the world, lover of real historical narratives, lover of Benin history. By popular demand, I was requested to make an audio recording for the connection between the Benin Royal House or the Oba and the Ogiamien family. First, before I address that very awesome historical connections between the Ogiamien and the Oba of Benin, I'll first of all foundationally establish some historical lies propagated by some persons over the years who are not really knowledgeable about the history of the Edo people. This old Oba, that Oba is a borrowed word from Yoruba. I wish to first of all address this and convincingly, by facts and evidences, convince all the listeners or the viewers that the word Oba is not a Yoruba word, and it will never be a Yoruba word. So, by that level of conviction, I would like to proceed. First, the word Ogiso and the word Oba seems two different words, but that has the same Meaning. Ogiso is not a title. Neither Oba is a title. The word Ogi means king in Benin. The word Oba does not mean king in Benin. I will explain. First, let me explain what Ogiso means. Ogiso was the titular name that was given to the occupant of the ancient stool or throne of Igodomigodo in the first dynasty. So the word Ogiso is a conglomeration of two words, Ogie and the so, Ogie no Kisori. That is, it means translated as a king from the sky. From the sky. Ogie no Kisori. Now, these ancient personalities were believed to be the wisest, were believed to be the most humane, were believed to be of the best character of the land. And the people, in a way, trying to describe these their phenomenal characteristics that was real in all expanse of numbers of the Ubini or Igodomingodo people, had find a way of explaining that the only way these people could have this phenomenal characteristics, they have to come from the sky. They have to be an heavenly personality. They have to be a divine figure. So, the word Ogiso try to explain the phenomenal characteristics of these people, their wisdom, their unrivaled wisdom. So the Benin people of that era were trying to explain that these people were not of earthly configuration or sort of an earthly personality. They were more of like divinities. So that is why the Benins called them a king from the sky. Not just an earthly king, but someone that has more phenomenal characteristic than what an earthly king could be. So Ogiso literally means a divine king, a god king, a king from the sky. Now, let's now explain what Oba means. Of course, everybody understands that with the situation that led Ogiamien coming. No, before I explain that, as a Benin person, we should understand that if not your Oba do ome mini in a do natio in a do gitia Oba in a do to Oba ome mini ni boom will do. Now, ubenso ahata mwa abe imami go low where ukinogberana because ini have aba we can ye. That means the Benin just naturally said Oba. That means it's difficult. Things have been difficult all throughout the week, and that's why I've not had money to spend on even Oba. Things that are difficult. So Oba first means difficult situation. Secondly, abe Osaemeri ukpa na ebasi, that also shows that the light, the bulb is not shining. It's not shining. So, second meaning of Oba, it's shine, to shine. Then thirdly, that means the cloth you're putting on is red. So literally, the word Oba in Benin means difficult, shining, and red. So that means Oba is indigenous to the Edo people. So, but which of these three words explains what led Oromia in coming to Benin. What led Oromia to coming to Benin? I will explain. Now, it was a very difficult situation, an interregnum of about 70 years before the Benin chiefs, led by Chief Olia Awoma, went to Ife to retrieve Oduduwa, who was at that time of history was known to the Benin people as a Kaladeran. So to retrieve him, it was a very difficult situation, trying to retrieve the rightful heir to the throne of the Oba of Benin. So the situation that eventually brought Oromiyan to Benin after his father Oduduwa, who originally was known as a Kaladeran, was a difficult situation. He gave the chiefs the 5 lies, the 5 lies test that they should take care of the lies for 3 years. And all. It was a difficult situation. So when Oromiyan got to Benin, it was a difficult situation that brought him. To retrieve him back was a difficult situation. So that was the first explanation. Now, when Oromiyan came to sit on the throne of his grandfather, Ogiso Owodo, he sort of brought light to the kingdom once again. The light that left with Kaladeran when he had ran for his life 70 years ago. So Oromiyan coming brought light to the Benin people. So the word Oba explains the situation that led to the coming of Oromiyan, and also explain the situation of what Oromiyan brought to the Benin people. So it was a difficult situation before Oromiyan came, and Oromiyan coming now brought light that was not there for the past 17 years back to the Edo people, because they now truly have a king. So the Benins, in order to recognize the circumstances that led to Oromiyan coming and that the Oromiyan now brought to the people, they now said Oba. So Oba literally does not, Oba that appears Oba of Benin literally means difficult and shine. Now, the point I am trying to derive from this analysis is to further take another word, Omo, Noba, Nedo, Uku Akbolokbolo. Omo is a child, Noba, it's that shineth. Nedo, a child that shineth for the Edo people. Uku Akbolokbolo means the mighty one who reigns. So Omonoba Nedo Uku Akbolokbolo means a child that shineth for the Edo people, the mighty one who reigns. All right. So the word Oba that appears as the Oba of Benin is not. It's not majorly. Was not originally a title. Like I've explained, it is the circumstances that brought Oromiyan that led to the Benin giving that name. Just like the circumstances that surrounds the coming of these wisest people of the first dynasty that led the Benin people to name them Ogiso. Now, understand it. I had explained that Ogiso, it's like a divine god, all right, a divine king rather, or a god king. Now, Oba also means the same thing, a god king. I will explain. Now, the shine that the Benin understand the Oba to be is not an electric bulb. It's a celestial light, like the heavenly light, like something of divinity. That's something that is not ordinary, something extraordinary. That was the light the Benin people were talking about. And in conquest of that, the Benin people realized that the Oba, it's a more divinely orchestrated word, title, than the word Ogie. So they now said, Ogie Soba. That means a king is not greater than the Oba. Now, the Benin also said, Oba or Sogie. That means the Oba is greater than the king. So the answer is what therefore Oba means. Why is Oba greater than a king? That is because a divine king is greater than an earthly king. A God king is greater than an earthly king. So Oba literally means a God king. Just like Ogiso also literally means a God king. So two different words, but the same meaning. Could it have been coincident? No, it wasn't coincidental. The Benin people of that era knows the implication of having to change one word to another word because of the circumstances that brought Oromia, but they also know that it is the same meaning. So, having established this fact, it is now pertinent for the Benin people to know that without all further ado, that the word Oba is indigenously a Benin word and not Yoruba. So Oromiyan was not the one who named himself Oba. It was the chiefs who gave him that word Oba because of the circumstances that came. So Oromia could not have influenced a tradition that he does not understand. But when I get there, I will explain. Now, in order for people to understand the folk scope and history of what connect the Benin people and the Ogiamien, they first of all will understand how the monarchy started from the first king of Benin, Ogiso Igodo. Ogiso Igodo came through a college of chiefs. He was the most remarkable. He had a phenomenal character. So he was crowned as Ogiso. He came through the college of the elders of the land. So when he died, his grandson, not his direct son, his grandson became the next Ogiso, which the Benin remembers, A. When A died, okay, when A died, A's first son, Orire, became the next Ogiso. So from the beginning of our monarchy, the Benin already started with primogeniture, the passage of first surviving son on the demise of his father. The first surviving son become the Oba of Benin or the king when the father passes on sojourn to the land of the ancestors. So when Orire died, Orire had no son. Because of that, Orire died in about 100 BC. Because of that, the Benin throne, Uhurena Laibo, Uhurena Laibo. So there was no king in Benin for a period of 285 years. That was the first interregnum. Now, during that interregnum, the Benin did not go to other territories, other places surrounding us to look for a king because they have the instrumentalities of choosing a king from their numerous numbers of kings. That is number one. After which the Benin now revolted, revised or reverted to the principle of gerontocracy. So where the oldest man in each of the quarters were allowed to be the Ogiso. There were about 19 of them. So when you count 19 plus the first three Ogiso, that will be 22. So the 22nd Ogiso was Ogiso Ediaye. So it was after the passage of Ogiso Ediaye, his son Ogiso Oriagba now became the Ogiso. And it was that Ogiso Oriagba who ensured that they reverted back to primogeniture. And when he was taking that oath, the promulgated act, it was an oath with the four elders of the land, namely Olia, Edon, Eho, Eholo, Nire. These were the four elders that took that oath that from henceforth, only the sons, the first surviving son of Ogiso Oriagba, of that family of his lineage, will become the Ogiso of Igodomigodo. Enough every other person's. It will not be relocated. And that same act also enables these four elders to also pass their title to their first surviving son. Of course, we later discovered that it's because of that oath that was sworn. That is why these same 4 elders went to retrieve the direct descendant of these Ogisoriagba, in which their forebears had an oath-taking ceremony with. So, after Ogisoriagba, there were other Ogisos. It now got to Ogiso Eheneden. Ogiso Eheneden also died without a son. Instead, the Benin did not go to other foreign lands to go and pick a king or an Ogiso. Instead, they reverted to his cousin. Now, they now looked for the next of kin to Ogiso Ehenede and picked, and his name was Ohuede. 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 All right? He was not a direct son of Ogiso Eheneden, but he was, as a matter of fact, he was the next of kin. All right? So he now became, it was that Ogiso Ohuede dynasty that stopped or that followed, that channeled to Ogiso Owodo. Now, Ogiso Owodo is regarded as the 31st Ogiso and the last Ogiso of the first dynastic reign. Certainly, he had a son. The Benins remembered him to be Kaladeran. A Kaladeran is not a mythological figure like some sections are trying to portray. Some people are trying to misguide people. There's some people said recently that it was Oba Eredia of blessed memory in 2004 in his book I Remain Your Obedient Servant that tried to formulate the Kaladeran story. For crying out loud, when you go to Era, in the schools that were built in the 70s, when you go to Use, schools that were built in the 60s, they named their school, the primary and the secondary school, after a Kaladeran primary school. So that means we have a song, Edi Kaladeran, Uvemanyu Amemaro, a sort of a paradox of joy and sadness. So the Benins have kept the song of the day Kaladeran left Benin, how Benin was, how the heavens cried. So, a Kaladeran could have been a mythological figure because he is the one who established Uwoton. A Kaladeran was the one who established Uwoton as a community and left. He had traces at Usen and had a very strong trace at Irwa, which was the last community that the Benins remembered he got through before he now left and found himself in another foreign land. Now, let's establish a fact. Now, of course, there were a matter of politics surrounding Ogiso Owodo. There was a matter of politics that surrounded Ogiso Owodo. Now, that led to the intricacies of having to plot the death of a Kaladeran, which led to some people trying to kill him. His life was spared. And when his life was spared, he ran all the communities from Urokoko down to Ugoton. They are all called Igwe Kaladeran. Is still there. So when he got to Ugoton, he established a place where he sat. We still have monuments that signifies that the Kaladeran was at Ugoton, that he established Ugoton. So of course, after some time, he left because he realized that they were already aware that he had not died. So one way or the other, he got to Ife. I don't want us to dwell too much on those stories. It's a popular story. Now, when he got to Ife, before he got to Ife, there was already an Ifa divination that there is a foreigner that is coming to rescue the Ife people from invaders. There were people who were invading Ife as a people. So there was a foreigner that is coming to rescue them. Now, for crying out loud, most Yoruba historians agree to the fact that Oduduwa was a foreigner to the Ife people. When you come to meet people in already established place, all right, you are not from that people. So, sentiments apart, Oduduwa is a foreigner and remains a foreigner to the Ife people. So, definitely when he got to Ife, they knew that this man is not an ordinary person because he still has his princely splendor around him. So he was easily recognized by the Ife people. And of course, you can't take in foreigner without having to question him, most especially during the time of the biggest crisis that was going on in Ile-Ife as at that time. So he was questioned for several reasons. And definitively, he told them, of course, he was asked, I believe, to be realistic, let's be logical in our historical narratives. To be realistic, no man is believed to fall from the sky. You can't fall from the sky. Now, even those who are Christians, that Jesus Christ being an heavenly person, divinity, or however you want to put it, could have choose to come from the sky. But you understand, to come to this world, you have to follow a simple principle of birth. There's no other way you come to this life other than a woman giving birth to you. So there is no way Oduduwa could have fallen from the sky. So that means the Yorubas are confusing their people by telling them that Oduduwa fell from the sky. Oduduwa can't fall from the sky because it's not possible for anybody to fall from the sky. All right? Except they are not telling their people the truth, which the Benins have been trying to tell them for ages. And some Yorubas don't understand that it was a clear lie to say that. Some smart Yoruba historians who realized that it was a clear lie to postulate that hypothetical historical junk that Oduduwa fell from the sky. Some now said that Oduduwa came from Mecca, that he was a son of Lamorudu, that he came from east of Ife. But when they now realized that east of Ife is actually Benin, they now said, no, it's not east per se, it's far east. That is Saudi Arabia. Now, first, when you come from Saudi Arabia, that means you are a Muslim. All right? So, why is Muslim not practiced by the Onis or by the Ife people? Or why was Islam was never recorded to be practiced by Oduduwa? So that also shows that Oduduwa was not from any Muslim country. Instead, Oduduwa practiced tradition, pure tradition. So the whole lies about Oduduwa coming from Mecca is totally badadash. The whole lie that Oduduwa fell from the sky is totally badadash. So now we are the one trying to explain to them now that how come the Ife people believe Oduduwa fell from the sky? Now, there's only one explanation. The explanation is this. Obviously, had I explained that Ogiso literally means a king from the sky, obviously, our son, a Kaladera, would have told them when he was asked, where are you from? Who are your father? Or who is your father? So he eventually told them that my father is Ogiso. Language barrier. They couldn't understand what Ogiso means. Instead, he had explained that Ogiso means king from the sky. That king from the sky. That's what Ogiso means. That's what he explained. Well, possibly that's what he explained to the Ife people. That king from the sky. So, automatically, it therefore means that if your father is a king from the sky, that means you also came from the sky. I think that was a report. That was what the Ife people gathered from that first time discussion they had with Ife. But let's establish another fact. Now, by the time a Kaladeram son got to Ife, Ife had no king before. So, a Kaladeram in person of Oduduwa brought civilization to the uncivilized Ife people. Now, why would I say Kaladeram brought civilization? Now, that's because a Kaladeran is coming from a lineage, a community of people that has practiced monarchical government for a period of 854 years, plus an interregnum of about 285 years, cumulatively about 1,000 years of organized society. So that is the society Kaladeran came from. So he came from a civilized society who had practiced monarchy. Like I was saying, he came from a civilized society that has practiced monarchy for a very long time before he eventually found himself in Ife. All right. So we brought civilization to the Ife people, and they have been very ungrateful about it. And we need to start telling the story. It's just like, for example, we also brought Ishekiri people had existed for ages before Prince Dinowa got to present-day Warri, but they were not organized. They were not civilized. We brought civilization to them. And today they still recognize the Benin's role that we played in civilizing these our people, Ishekiri, today Ishekiri people, by giving them a king that brought organization to them, because that king came from a lineage of over 1,500 years of a very organized system. So it is the same thing that Oduduwa did for the Ife people, and today the Ife people are being very ungrateful. Now, let's proceed. It's like how do I put it? What the Ife people had said, that there was one point in time that the Benin people came to Ife to request for a king. That is story number one. They tend to have 2 or 3 sides of each story. So they have different versions of a particular story. That's some Yoruba historians, that the Benin came to beg them for a king. That's one. Number 2, some will say that Ogiamien brought war and conquer the Igodomingodo people. That's 2. That's the second story they brought. Now, let me counter these people. Let's talk facts now. If you say the Benins came to beg for a king, then I will ask you, why? How? History remembers when Oduduwa reigned. We know when Oduduwa reigned because it was Oduduwa's son or grandson that became Ogiamien, and Oba Ogiamien became the Oba of Benin 1170. So that means we had an interregnum of 70 years where we believe that Oduduwa got to Ife at about 1100. At about 1100. So when they are saying that we came to Ife to beg for a king, now let's first of all establish one fact. I had established from 40 BC to about 1100, where Oduduwa was recognized to be the official king of the Ife people. It's about 1,000 years. Now, at that 1,000 years, the Benin people had already had 31 kings. They already had a very sound, organized monarchical system. And at that time, Ife had no single king. So, Ife people were not organized, were not civilized. The Benin people were already civilized at that time. So, I wonder, why would a civilized society go to an uncivilized society to request for a king? It doesn't make sense. It's like America, who got their independence in 1776, coming to Nigeria for Nigeria to teach them how to practice democracy. Nigeria got their independence in 1960. We're just talking about the difference between about the time America got their independence and the time Nigeria got their independence is about 200 years plus. Now we're not talking about close to 1,000 years of civilization differences. Now, how would a truly civilized, organized society like the Benin people, all right, leave the vast numbers of their population? Like I had explained, there were 2 or 3 there were about 2 interregnums before the Ogiamien interregnum, and the Benin did not go to Ife or go to other place to go and request for a king. How come it was the 10th interregnum? Like I told you about Ohede, that Ogiso Ihenede had no son. Instead, the Benin now chose his cousin, that's the next of kin, to become the successor. Now, when it now got to the time Ogiso Owodo died, why didn't the Benin chiefs also look for the next of kin to become the 32nd Ogiso? Now, they didn't do that because they know that Ogiso Owodo had a son. You don't give the throne to the next of kin when a direct descendant is still alive. That is a common sense. Of course, that was why the Benins did not give next of kin or the vast majority. Does it make sense that a Benin man with all his emblem of pride will leave his vast population and go to a foreigner and beg them to come and give them king? It is very myopic and very stupid for people to assert that Benin went to Ife to request for a king. That's the first explanation that the Yorubas give. The second explanation, which is even more funny, it's that the Oromia came to conquer, brought armies to come and conquer Benin. First, if it is true that Oromia came to conquer Benin, all right, when Oromia eventually conquered Benin, Oromia did not spend up to 3 years in Benin. So he now sired a son. And when he sired a son, the Benin's remembered that son to be Eweka, the first. Then, when Oromia left, then why didn't the Benin rebel against Oromia's children? Progeny. If you come to defeat me in my own house and become a king over me, and after some time you left and say your son should be over me, should not be a king, are you not saying that me and my household will not kill that son and within ourselves not choose to be a king? It doesn't make sense, because we tend not to know the military might Oromia had. We tend not to know who were the military that Oromia left behind that was able to protect his son from the wrath of a more populated people than where Oromian came from. So it doesn't make sense. Oromian couldn't have been able to defeat the Benin if truly he was a Yoruba man, because at first they were having issues of invaders, the Ugbo people invading and stealing the Ife people. So they could not, it takes the intervention of Ikaladen or Duduwa to ward these invaders off. People were unable to ward these invaders off, now have a military might to conquer an organized people who already had a military might that has been organized for almost about 1,000 years. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So there is logic in history. I'm trying to portray the logic in the history of our people. So we should understand it the way it is. So, of course, the only visible explanation, like I have explained earlier, was that Oromian couldn't be a Yoruba man. Otherwise, he would have been rejected. He would have been rejected almost immediately. Let's take another example. Iken. Iken is believed to Iken no Goku no Magule. Iken went to fight the Benin Akure War. He won that war. But he asked his troop to go back, and he stayed behind. And the people he had already defeated recouped and killed him. So, are you not saying that after Oromia has defeated the Benin people, Oromia left back, and the Benins did not recoup to kill his son, so as to retain their throne back? So it doesn't make sense. The people, when you want to talk history, you must bring fact and evidence. These facts are overwhelming. So the whole idea that Oromia came to conquer the Benin people, it's still very saddening. Still very saddening. However, I've established that it could not have been true. So the Benins would have left the numerous. At that time when Oromia came, don't forget, Avian was an administrator. The Benins would have allowed someone who already had a very strong say in the kingdom to take over the affairs of the kingdom, because he's a Benima, than allow an Oromia, who is a Yoruba man, to become the king. That shows that what the Benins knew, that Oromia truly is a Benin prince, of course, or the son of the heir apparent. That also makes him the heir apparent. So now let's not talk about what brought Evian, the Ogiamien people. Now, the Evian as a people, of course, during when the Caladoran left, it was about 70 years in Terregno. The Benin's remembered we became a republican civilization or nation, however you want to put it. It became a republican or so however you want to put it. At that time, we had a lot of internal crisis because there was no king that shaping the affairs, the societal affairs of the people. So there was an animal at that time. The Benin's remember to be Oshogan. It's like the modern day dragon. The animal was coming to steal people, was able to breathe out fire and all that at Ekyogisho, which the Benin's now eventually known as Agbado Agbari, because the animal, this giant or this monster was killing people on their way to the market. So the Benin said, Agbado will go to commune or to trade together in the market, but we don't return. So after which the market is now called Agbado Market. From that instance that happened a long time ago, it took the bravery of a great young Benin man from Enyanugi. He was a blacksmith from Enyanugi. So to be able to defeat that Oshoga, Evian. So now the Benin's realizing that we don't have a king yet, but since we are still yet to find a Caladeran, all right, why can't we for now have an administrator and a dai, a sort of an order, not a king though, but someone who can hold the position. It's just like when Obavorame was deported in 1897. So Chief Osagwe was given that right of becoming an administrator for about a period of 3 years, after which that right was removed and given to Awo Obaseki for about another 14 years. Okay, he was an administrator. So the role Awo Obaseki played in Benin is the same role Evian played during Oromia's time, and a dai, a holder for the true owner. So an administrator, a regent. So Evian actually, of course, that was a rare opportunity. Evian does not have a blue blood, so there's no way he could have even contemplated becoming an Oba. So they won't have also, that is why they didn't choose from the numerous nest of kin or blue blood, because they know that those can have a more tenable history to present that backs them, that they can continue the line of the Ogiso. So Evian was asked to be a regent, and after which Evian held that position greatly because he was a magnificent man with a lot of vigor, with strength. He was a warrior. He had everything that makes a great leader. But one thing he never had was being a blue blood. He had no royal blood in him, and as such, he cannot sit on the ancient throne of the Ogiso. So obviously, Evian was there, and when Evian was about passing, on his old age, Evian decided that his son should also take over that position from him. Now, who did Evian choose? Evian had 3 sons. The first son was, can I remember? The first son was Usama. The second son was Ogiamien, that is Irebo, who is now known as Ogiamien. And the third son was Olia. These were the names of his 3 sons. Now, if Evian truly was of a royal blood, like some of the people are claiming that the father of Ogiso Owodo was Ogiso Arigo, that Ogiso Arigo had 2 sons, that the first son became Ogiso Owodo. Then the second son is the father of Evian, That's what some young semi-literate or those who really do not know the Benin history are propagating. Now, if truly Evian has a blue blood, why then did the Benins accept Oromia as against a foreigner who is an Oromia against a blue blood? That shows that Evian was never a blue blood. Now, to further prove that Evian was never connected to the Ogiso at all is that if Evian truly was a royal blood, a blue blood, he would know that by the right of primogeniture, it is from father to first surviving son. So why then did Evian decided to favor his second son as against his first son? His first son was still alive. So that shows that he knows that because Ogiamien, his second son, was also having the attribute of a great leader like him, someone who can fight for what does not belong to them. So it was a question of Oma no wegbao, not Oma no heke no rio. It was a question of no wegbao. So Ogiamieni Ireboni Ogele wegbao had a strong mind. So he knew that if he passes on, his second son will be able to take that position and try to build it and make the people to accept them as now the new royal family. They were a product of opportunists. They are simply opportunists. They wanted to take it, of course. It can happen to me. It can happen to anybody. Wherever me manage sugar, you no, not too lekwa. So that was a situation that happened. So they were product of opportunists or opportunity, and they wanted to take the opportunity, just like our Obaseki wanted to take the opportunity as well. So I wouldn't blame them. But what I'm not blaming them is that they are not propagating false tales. Now, of course, when Ogiamien was there, Evian already died. Then that was when Oromiyan came. So, but because that family had already had a very strong hold on some parts of Benin, so Oromiyan could not enter inside the center of Benin. So he was ruling from Osama Palace that was at the periphery of the then land of Igodomigodo. Now, understand, it was the chiefs, these elders, Olia, Edon, Eho, Eholo, that of course Oloton also joined at that time because Oloton followed Oromiyan from Ife, also now joined. That was able to build a palace for him at Osama where Oromiyan ruled. After Oromiyan left, we understand the circumstances that led Oromiyan leaving, language barrier and all that. Now there is a part I almost forgot. When of course it no okay let me narrate it in this format. Now when Ogiamien wanted his son to survive him, that is when it now dawned on the Benin people that this guy is trying to be who he is not. So they decide to go and look for Oduduwa to return back and take the rightful throne of his father. On getting to Ife, they discovered that Oduduwa was already old. Now the question I wish to ask is, what language did the Benin people use in communicating with Oduduwa in a way that Oduduwa was convinced enough to send his favorite child? That is the question we are asking. We have been asking the Yorubas. What language? At that time, before that Oduduwa story, it has never been established, written anywhere, that the Benins ever had any interaction with the Yoruba people. Of course, the Yoruba language is not 0.5% similar to the Benin language. It is two languages far apart. So there was no similarity at all. There's no similarity at all. So what language did the Benin chiefs, their Olia, their Eho, their Eholo, their Edohe, use in convincing Oduduwa to come to Benin? Wherefore Oduduwa now said he was already old. Instead, he sent his favorite son to follow them. Obviously, your good is as guess as mine. It was the Benin language. So they spoke the language of Oduduwa to Oduduwa, of the language of a Caladeran, the original name, which is a Caladeran, to Oduduwa. Of course, a lot of persons, how they did not choose Oduduwa. Now, of course, because the name he was known as in Benin was a Caladeran, so he decided on getting, in order to mask his identity, he decided to choose another name, which was as a result of the circumstances that made him get to Ife. So he chose the word Izodua. I've chosen the part of word. Of course, language barrier, the Yorubas could not pronounce Izodua. They called it Oduduwa. All right, they called it Oduduwa. So till date, the Yorubas tend not to, with even their own formulations and trying their deception, they are still yet to tell you what Oduduwa means in Yoruba language. Of course, everybody knows that the word Uwa is synonymous to Bini, Oduwa, Izoduwa, Imari Doduwa, Adesuwa. That words are synonymous of the Benin people. So Oduduwa does not have any meaning in Benin because it is a corrupted word of Benin. It's just like, for example, Akpakpava does not have a meaning in Benin and does not have a meaning in Portuguese. The original word was papavie, a Portuguese word. All right? So, like, for example, Sakmomba does not have a meaning because it's a corruption of the original meaning, which is Sokmomba. Like the word Benin, Benin, does not have a meaning because it's a corruption of Ubini. Ubini has a meaning. Ubini means a place of heavenly pageantry. And the viewers or the listener should also know that Ubini never came from Ile Ibinu. It was not Oromia that named us Ubini. Ubini was already existing in the days of the Ogisos, long before Oromian came. But that is a story for another day. I will analyze that when another history beckons for me to talk about that. So, once a word is corrupted, it no longer has a meaning because it was corrupted from the original word. That is what happened. So, what was the language of communication between the Benins and the Yorubas people? The Yoruba should answer that. Now, of course, there was a language of communication, which certainly was Benin, and that was a language that convinced Oduduwa, knowing fully well that there is people that told them that I cannot go because I was old. Instead, take my favorite son. So, on getting there to Benin, a palace was built for him. He ruled from that part of Usama Palace, the present day Siloko. Then, after which he left, the circumstances that led him to leave was language barrier and some other factors. So he impregnated a daughter of Ogieko. The Benin's remember Eyimide. Eyimide now signed a song called Eweka. Eweka was deaf and dumb. Situations led him. He shouted a Womika that the Benin now translated as Eweka. Now, Eweka also ruled from Osama Palace. After Eweka had two sons. The first was Ukwanwa, and that one became Oba, ruled and had no son, but had a daughter. The Benin's remember to be Princess Imadeyo. All right, but his younger brother was Ehemie. Ehemie now became the Oba of Benin. So Oba Ehemie also ruled from Osama Palace. Now, the fifth Oba, Ehemie's son was Ewedo. It was Ewedo who decided to move the palace from Osama to Ogbe, the heart of Benin. Now, when he was coming, that was when he now met the resistance of the Ogiamien people. He meant then it was Ogiamien. Evia had already passed on. It was Ogiamien that was now the reigning soldier or title of that family. So he met them there. Now, understand this. Of course, a war broke out between Obaewedo and Ogiamien. Now, that war, the head of the military of Obaewedo was known as a man called Odigie Olomi. Odigie Olomi. The man was from Ogbe Ibuya quarters. So a lot of us know where Ogbe Ibuya is. That was the head of the military mind of Obaewedo. So, and the head of the military mind of Ogiamien was his Olia. So they fought that battle at Unweru. That is why the Benin call it the Battle of Unweru. For some of us who are not too familiar with Benin, the Unweru is now called Asoro Street along Sokbomba. Just so the Onuero at here, first Asoro, second Asoro, that's Onuero number 1, first Onuero, second Onuero. So that's where the battle was fought. So the Oba's army completely annihilated the Ogiamien soldiers and cut off the head of the head of the military power of the Ogiamien, and forced Ogiamien to crawl on his knees from Onueru down to present-day St. Matthews, where the Benins at that time, there was a market there under Okbaga tree, where the Benins call it Ekiokbaga. Crawled. Now, when he crawled to beg for leniency, now there are intricacies there. The Ogiamien people now say that was when a Ekiokbaga treaty was struck. Now, I wish to ask, at that time of history, over about 1,000 years, no, about 800 years ago, that's 700 to 800 years ago, do the Oba people or the Ogiamien people know what a treaty is? How did they sign that treaty? Who wrote that treaty? Who recorded it? Now, when you read that 8th treaty, the funny aspect of that 8th treaty is that the loser tends to benefit from that treaty than the winner. Now, the question I want to ask, when I defeat you as an individual, as a person, if I defeat you, you and I fight earnestly, I completely beat you hands down, then will you, a defeated person, be the one who determines the terms and conditions of a treaty? The answer is no, 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 no. It is the victor, that one that is victorious, that determines what a treaty should be all about. So definitely, those 8 things that the Ogiamien people wrote as a Ekiokbaga treaty are figments of their imagination and never existed. As a matter of fact, my name is Imaswe Namowe Zodua. Take me on anywhere, I will tell you that a Ekiokbaga treaty never existed. Now, I will prove it to the listeners that why I say that a Ekiokbaga treaty never existed. Now, they said that half of the land will be given to the Oba, while half will be theirs. In the first place, Ogiamien people never owned any inch of their Edo land. The owners of the land were Efa, Emehi. Those are long stories ago. These are the owners of the land in which the branch of the Efa, Emehi, that's where the Oba Ogisho came from, not the Ogiamien. How did the Ogiamien own the land? All right, I had said in the beginning, Evian is from Enyanugi. Evians are not ancestrally from Otantan. For some of us who do not know Otantan, Otantan is now the present-day Sukmomba Street. I hear they call themselves the Ogiamien of Otantan. What Ogiamien of Otantan means, Otantan is a street. What Otantan means in Benin is something that is long and straight. So that means when these people come out on Facebook anywhere and say that they are Ogiamien of Utanta, what they are actually saying is that he's an Ogiamien of a street, which makes him an Ogiamien at best, and not even a duke. He's not qualified to be ascribed as a duke. He's just an hereditary Ogiamien, a special Ogiamien that is hereditary though. So that's what Ogiamien of Otanta. Otanta means something that is long and straight. So Ogiamien of Otanta means Ogiamien of a long and a straight road. That's what it literally means. So there is nothing like Otantan kingdom, because a long and straight road kingdom doesn't make sense. So Otantan starts from around Asoro Street and ends at Ivie Neva. Okay, a lot of us don't know the Ivie Neva moat. Ivie Neva moat is 10 junction moat. All right, so that's where Ogiamien literally controls by even their write-ups. So Let me prove why I say a Kyokbaga treaty is wrong. Now, the foundation of it is this. They say that whoever breaks this 8th treaty is upon death. So if Oba of Benin breaks that treaty, that means Oba of Benin will die. That means if Ogiamien breaks that treaty, that means Ogiamien will die. The first question I want to ask, I know a lot of, one of the treaties says that the Ogiamien people will never bow down to the Oba of Benin. I know a lot of Ogiamien people that are bowed down. In short, that first Ogiamien during Obaewedo bowed and crawled from Onweru and bowed to Obaewedo. So he did not die. I know many of Ogiamien family that bows to Oba of Benin till date. Oba of Benin has not died, neither has any Ogiamien died. Now, another fact, this was extracted from the words of Professor Tony Ogiamien, who, for all confidential reasons, is the most educated amongst the Ogiamien family. In one of the publications in Ogiamien Trumpet, 2015, volume 1, page 4, said, and I quote, that he is tall today because he got their tall gene from one of the daughters of Oba Adolo. So Oba Adolo actually married one of his daughter, all right, to the reigning Ogiamien at that time. And that name of the daughter, I remember, is Igbinake or Igbinazake, something like that. That Igbinake, I think Igbinake. The name of that Oba Adolo, for some of us who do not know Oba Adolo, so Oba Adolo or Bioba Vorame. So that means that Igbinake, that Princess Igbinake, is a younger sister of Oba Ovorame. All right, God was married to the Ogiamien of that era. So we now understand that the Kyokbaga, and that is a Kyokbaga number 4, the treaty number 4, that the Oba cannot marry from the Ogiamien family, neither can the Ogiamien family marry from the Oba family. Yet Ogiamien, the reigning Ogiamien at that time, married from the Oba's daughter, and yet Oba Adolo did not die, Ogiamien did not die. So I can give more examples why the Kyokbaga Treaty is a figment of the imagination of the Ogiamien people and never existed. As in reality, the whole Ogiamien was a regent until the coming of Oromiyan. When Oromiyan came, they took their throne back from the Dahi that the elders of the Aulia had given to hold forth the title for. So the Ekyokbaga, what really transpired at that Ekyokbaga was a treaty of mercy and a treaty of inheritance. What that means, I will explain. Now, that reigning Ogiamien realizes that he has lost, knows that he has lost everything forever. Now beg for leniency and begged Obaewedo to make him that Ogiamien title hereditary. Ogiamien was just a name that they adopted in the family, but was never hereditary. All right, it was Obaewedo that officially made that title recognized in Benin Kingdom and made it hereditary to that family. So when you read Benin historians, when Benin historians, they'll tell you Obaewedo created the Ogiamien title. So he did not create the Ogiamien as a name, but he created Ogiamien as a title and made it hereditary upon that household. Then Obaesigi instituted Ogiamien into the Uzama Nibie, quite an insignificant title, because they seems not to have any function, because they were meant to supplement the Uzama Niyon, the elder Uzama. So should tomorrow in the future the Uzama Niyon are found wanting, Uzama Nibie should take care of the responsibilities of the Uzama Niyon. So it's quite an insignificant title that makes Ogiamien a chief in the palace of the Oba of Benin. A chief in the palace of the Oba of Benin. Even Professor Tony had said that there was a particular amount that was supposed to be paid to Ogiamien as a chief of the Oba of Benin since 1968 that was not paid. So these people, they agree that Ogiamien is the chief of the Oba of Benin and nothing more. Ogiamien does not have any inch of the land because in the first place he came from Eyanuge. From Eyanuge, Utanta. Utanta is not their house. Their ancestral house is at Eyanuge. So how come a migrant now claims ownership of the land they migrated to? So these are questions that beckons that these unscrupulous and uneducated elements continue to dwell on without having an historical fact. How come the most educated Benin historians, sons and daughters, don't tend to support these few misguided Ogiamien? When I say few misguided, not all Ogiamiens are misguided. I have quite a number of them that are my friends, and they acknowledge of the superiority. There's no contest between Ogiamien and the Oba of Benin because it's just like a chief contesting with his overlord. There's no reason to be a contest. So Ogiamien is just a chief in the palace. When they are ready to come and take their responsibility as a high Oba, that is when the palace will start recognizing them. Until then, all those one coming out in public to ferment trouble are just rabble-rousers, uneducated rabble-rousers. It is they're one of the most uneducated family in Benin, and they're the one making the most noise in Benin. So when they get some level of education, I'm sure that most of them will start having a rethink. So my name remains Imanson Amowe Zodowa, and I am the Coordinator General, Association of Great Benin Descendants. And I hope we have been able to enjoy this little excerpt of some raw historical narratives. And I hope with time we'll be able to talk more and more on some issues. Remember, Oba of Benin is a king like no other. Oba no soba or Oba redo. Oba ratok beyo is